Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Slater case, of course. And for this video, I'm going to try to sum up why exactly it is that there's a group of us that I call the foul play group, principally because we believe there is either foul play in the background to Jay's death or foul play criminality caused Jay's death. I'm going to try to explain why we as a group think that way, and I'm trying to do it in as reasonable a way as possible for the accident group to understand why we think that way. Now, I may fail, of course, but what I'm saying is I'm going to try to lay out, as far as I'm concerned, what factors in particular go into our thinking. And then, accident group, if you find the way I've explained it or what I've said to be totally unreasonable, you can comment. But I predict any comments on this video will be nothing to do with the arguments that I put forward. It'll be to do with, I don't know, how we look, what we sound like, the plain grey wall and the odd picture, the white shirt that wasn't ironed. I suspect the comments will be on those lines rather than what I say. But let's try this. Okay. For me, the heart of the matter here is it is very hard to believe, to the point of being unbelievable, that the team of Lovelace and Pennington were the ones that found Jay when no one else could. I mean, there are several reasons, and this could be several videos, this could be a whole documentary, if you like, on why the so-called finding of Jay Slater could not have happened the way it did. But the heart of it is, for me, the string of failures that happened over a long period, and believe me, 2, 3, 4 weeks of searching is a long period. The string of failures that happened to then be contrasted by the discovery of the body, apparently, by Ivor and Chris, just doesn't make sense to some of us. Let's start with the list of failures that happened before the dynamic duo. Well, trio, we've got Adrian as well. Let's go through the list of failures that happened up till then. Failure number 1. The Mountain Rescue Division of the Guardia Civil. Mountain Rescue Division are called the GRAIN. G-R-E-I-M. GRAIN. That is their job. Headed by one Cipriano Martin, that is their job, to find people that are missing, in particular in the mountainous areas, mountain rescue team. Over a 4-week period, they failed. They failed. These are local people. These are trained people. These are expert people. They are familiar with exactly what mission they were on. They didn't just give it 2 or 3 days. They gave it better part of 4 weeks. And they failed. Guardia Civil and the Mountain Rescue Division, local experts. Now, to some of us, it's just a little weird that those experts, those professionals, failed, and yet a guy in his basement in Wales and a smoking, drinking, stumbling buffoon succeeded. We just find it hard to believe. We just find it hard to believe. But let's continue with the list of failures. We then have the bomberos. The bomberos are the firefighters, not the bombarderos, the bombers, as the guy in West Wales once described them as. They are the bomberos, the firefighters. They too, experts all over Tenerife. For example, that case in Benijo, the Ukrainians that just, were found on a cliff edge down towards the sea, The other end of the island, the bomberos are there. The bomberos are everywhere. The firefighters, they too know this terrain. They are expert at getting through this difficult terrain. They are expert at retrieving bodies in this difficult terrain. They too failed. So the firefighters, Guardia Civil, mountain rescue guys, all failed. Again, over a long period of time. This one I'm not 100% sure, but I do feel sure at some point I saw the guys with the Policía Nacional on the back. So the national police, I believe, were also involved in certain stages. They failed. Well, then we have DTR. Now, DTR gave us a little bit of hope. I'm not a big fan of DTR. But that said, I believe DTR does have some experience in the mountains. I do think DTR knows he was up in Scotland, Ben Nevis area. And I do think DTR is someone that can use ropes, can go up and down chasms, can handle mountaineering. I mean, I think compared to bumbling Pennington and bumbling bollox Ivor, DTR is way up there in experience, skill level, ability, etc., etc. We had a ray of hope because even though DTR lost his keys, lost his underwear, well, I don't know about that, lost his phone, lost his common sense, he did find. We all got excited when he said blood. There's blood. There's blood. There's blood. Oh wait, it's animal blood. God knows how he knew that. And then it was, well, might not even be blood, could be just red markings on a trail, you know, how the people mark a trail with red paint. But DTR, even though there was a ray of hope there for just a brief while, he failed. He failed too. Guardia Civil, Mountain Rescue, firefighters, Policía Nacional, DTR, they all failed. Callum also failed. Bright young thing, full of enthusiasm. Didn't get paid enough by Debbie. They had an argument. Callum came home, but hey, for a number of days, Callum was out there, but he failed. Even though at one point Callum said he swears he'd gone not that far from where he believes Jay's body was found, and he just can't believe it was down there all that time. But let's add him to the failure list. We got Millie. Now, as far as I know, Millie's a local, well, British, but local in the sense lived in Tenerife a long time. Knows her terrain. Dora the Explorer. Yeah, okay. Warren was frustrated that Millie was leading him God knows where, and it didn't seem to be, focused on anything in particular. And I do know that Millie was searching south of Santiago for whatever reason. Yeah. But she failed. She failed too. So, Guardia Civil, Mountain Rescue, firefighters, Policía Nacional, DTR, Callum, and Millie all failed. Then we have Warren and Zach. Now you think, well, you can't really call them searchers. Yeah, but Warren and Zach, they both know Jay a lot better than anyone else. So if we're thinking who would best be able to put themselves in the mind of Jay and figure out where he might have gone or not gone, we do have these family members, his father and his brother, that I think, again, are one level above the likes of Pennington and Lovelace. Pennington and Lovelace can't get in the mind of Jay. They don't know the guy. And maybe no one could get in the mind of Jay after we read his toxicology report. But if anyone can get in the mind of Jay and think, how would Jay have thought at this moment? It would be Warren and Zach. But they failed. And they tried. They were out there searching. But they failed. Here's the failure list again. Guardia Civil, Mountain Rescue Division, firefighters, Policía Nacional, DTR, Callum, Millie, Warren, Zach. Let's just throw in all of Jay's friends. How many was it? 15 or so. Flown out there to keep looking for anything connected with Jay. All of Jay's friends, whether it be I've forgotten the Jessica Ingham, I think was Jay's ex-girlfriend, wasn't it? Saul, I think he went out, didn't he? Wasn't he looking? Paul Curry and what have you. That group, they went out, they failed, didn't find a thing. The dogs, they all failed. We got two groups of dogs in play here. We got the Guardia Civil dogs, sniffer dogs, yeah? Nothing. Nothing. Not one of them could find any track, any trace. They all failed. It's quite a lot of dogs that failed. You only want one to say, hey, I picked it up. It's over here. And everyone keeps saying it's a vast area, but dogs can cover a vast area. You'd be amazed how quickly and how efficiently dogs can work to cover an area. But not one single dog succeeded. And then you got the other dogs. You got the Madrid dogs. These are the expert dogs. They can cover an even vaster area. Yeah, make sure it's all covered. And I believe some of those Madrid dogs are cadaver dogs. So dead or alive, we got it covered here. Not one of those dogs found anything at all. The failure list: Guardia Civil, Mounted Rescue Division, the firefighters, the Policia Nacional, DTR, Callum, Millie, Warren, Zach, all of Jay's friends, the local dogs, the Madrid dogs, all failed. Those are just the human resources. Those are just the human resources. If we go on to other resources, helicopters failed. 2 helicopters failed. Drones aplenty. Expert drone operators from the Guardia Civil. Again, remember, the Guardia Civil are principally a rural police force. Yeah, you got in the towns and cities, you got your Policia Municipal, Policia Local, but the guys that are fundamentally in Spain, they're also known as the Benemerita, I think it is. The Guardia Civil, they go by different names, but they are in essence in every region of Spain where they operate, they are in charge of the highways, the roads, the country areas. This is their job. I can't push this argument too much. This is what they do. And they have the expert drone operators. There's someone from West Wales flying a toy around and saying, look what I can do. This is their job, to find signs of missing people. They found nothing. The helicopters, the drones, the dogs, every resource failed. And yet, not only did they fail in the sense that they didn't find Jay, they didn't find Jay's body, they failed in the sense that none of those resources, human or otherwise, found even a sign, even a trace that Jay or anyone else had been down that ravine. I'll say that again. After all those weeks, nigh on a month of searching, all those resources found zero, not even a trace that any human, let alone just Jay, that any human had been down there. And yet we are asked to believe, Accident Group, that a guy in West Wales with his secret team and a guy involved in real estate on the island of Tenerife, neither of whom have any experience whatsoever in finding a missing person. None at all. Zero. We're asked to believe that those two, along with Adrian, did find Jay. Now, without going into the details of how they claim to have found Jay, well, we might do that. Let's see how much time we have here. But before we do that, I'm just saying, Accident Group, the bare essentials that I've just outlined tell me that it is so unlikely that these two that claim to have found Jay actually found him, and is so much more likely that all of the other people that looked, tried, and then failed, it is just too tough to believe that all the others failed to even find a trace, but the two that claim to have found Jay actually found him. Now, if that seems unreasonable to you, so be it. To me, it's perfectly reasonable to think the way I've just laid it out there. We just don't believe that the two who claim to have found him actually found him. Let's have a quick look at how the two people that claim to have found Jay actually found it. It's a little bit complicated because we have Luggy saying Chris did not find Jay. That's on record. Luggy said that. Did Chris find Jay? No, he didn't. We also have Chris on record saying, yes, he did find Jay. So already within this, dynamic duo, we have two completely different stories. They both can't be true. I would dearly love to hear a debate between Chris on the one hand, Luggy on the other, to sort out, is it true or not? This could be the proposition of the debate. Is it true or not? This house believes that Christopher Pennington did in fact find Jay. And let's hear Ivor and CP argue that out. Whatever. Based on Chris's I did find Jay, how did he do it? Well, I've already alluded to one thing that Chris claims he did that I guess none of the others did. Chris says he got in the mind of Jay. Warren couldn't do that with any success. Zach couldn't do it with any success. None of Jay's friends that knew Jay somewhat, pretty well, very well, none of them could do it with any success. We are asked to believe that the only person that could get into the mind of Jay with success was one guy who'd never met Jay, never heard of him, had no contact with him whatsoever, even though it slipped out in one lie that he claimed he'd spoken to Jay. Let's just call that a drunken blip. Yeah, the guy that never met Jay, didn't know Jay, he managed to get in the mind of Jay. You see, some of us accident group believe this is bullshit. And all we're looking from you guys to do is to explain why we must be so wrong to think that way. We also have the path of least resistance. It seems to me that Chris was claiming Jay must have gone down the bottom of that ravine because it was the path of least resistance. My only question is, why would it only be Chris that thought that way and that thinking led to success, whereas, again, all the others never thought of that? Because logically, I'm thinking if DTR or the firefighters or the dogs thought, path of least resistance, let's go looking down here, logic tells me they would have found Jay way, way, way before Chris Pennington ever did. So again, why is it that the real estate guy that has no experience doing this can get in the mind of Jay and then figure out path of least resistance is the way to approach this? And all of the others can't grasp that. You see, accident group, this is why for us it's just a little difficult to believe. We kind of think that maybe Lovelace and Pennington are somehow, maybe just a little bit, lying to us along the way here. Another tactic they used to explain their success was the good old LiDAR maps. Now, I know in the accident group you all believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you all believe Luggy's story about how he got the LiDAR maps from the Spanish government. I mean, you can download them, anyone can get them, they're online. But anyway, let's leave that aside. Special permission from the Spanish government, talk about bigging yourself up. El Slugtardo gets his LiDAR maps. We won't go through the whole LiDAR map thing, I'll just state it. A LiDAR map that has no real-time data. In other words, a LiDAR map from a year before it can't show where the missing person is. It's just can't do it. In fact, I'll throw this out to any in the accident group. Let's appeal to the greatest minds of the accident group. Let's appeal to Joanna. Let's appeal to jugglers. You can tell by their names how serious they are. Let's appeal to Bumblebee. Bumblebee, Joanna, and jugglers. Let's appeal to those three. Could you tell me any time in history when a LiDAR map with no real-time data has been used to find a human being not buried underground? That's it. That's it. Because to me, there's a reason why Guardia Civil and the Bomberos and the Policía Nacional and none of those guys use LiDAR maps. And my explanation is They didn't use LiDAR maps because unless you have a LiDAR map with real-time data, it's not going to show you anything. It's useless. That's why they didn't use it. But in their infinite wisdom, the guy in his basement in Fishguard, Wales says, I know better than these people, and I know that an outdated LiDAR map with no real-time data will help find Jay. That's what he says. That's what he does. And Chris is out there, even though Chris doesn't know what the hell a LiDAR map is, making a video saying, oh, and LiDAR maps, look it up, folks. You can Google it. They helped. Uh-huh. LiDAR maps. Apparently that was the great secret to the success. Getting in the mind of Jay, following the path of least resistance, using LiDAR maps with no real-time data. Everyone else, far too dumb to figure this out. But the dynamic duo, they're one step ahead. Accident group, I'm just saying this is why some of us don't believe the story. It doesn't make sense to us. But if any of you would like to make a video or call me, now you've got my number, and explain how it makes sense to you, that would be great. And then we have the fact that Chris says, right-hand side, you have to go down the right-hand side of the ravine. Why? Because everyone else, all these dummies that are far more qualified, far more experienced, know the local terrain, done this before, all of those dummies that were on the left-hand side of the ravine, they got it wrong. Yeah? When you've got your LiDAR maps, when you've got in the mind of Jay, when you're going down the path of least resistance, when you're on the right side of the ravine, then you might have success. No, you will be successful. That is what we're being told here. Some of us don't believe it. Let's just turn to local knowledge here and help. What I find extraordinary is that the guy in West Wales has never been to Tenerife. Well, maybe he has. I don't know. What do we believe there? Did he go there, get arrested, get banged up by the Guardia Civil, was threatened to be arrested if he came back to Tenerife? Or do we go with the story that he's never been there? The guy that's never been there, from his basement with his laptop, is able to direct this team, two real estate guys, Pumpkin and Adrian, and no other local help is needed or even asked for. That surprises me too, because you've got Juan Garcia, that ex-Guardia Civil guy with the floppy hat and the dog called Caperucita. He's out there. He would have been a useful ally. Chris doesn't need a useful ally in this. Doesn't need a dog, doesn't need a drone, doesn't need anything. Just needs to get in the mind of Jay. The reason I doubt Chris's story is because I think even Chris would figure out that he needs some help in this situation if he's going to prevail. And I don't mean help from a guy from the University of Pisspot in West Wales. I mean real help. You've got David Larkin. Now, David Larkin apparently hikes around there every bloody year. Whether he gets lost, whether he doesn't get lost, I would have thought David Larkin would be the first one to say, hey, David, you've stayed up around here. You've hiked every ravine. Do you want to join our team? But I find it extraordinary that this team does not include anyone local, anyone with local knowledge, any Brit that's been up there. None of them join the dynamic duo plus Adrian. Now that I'm on a roll, let me go on a little bit further with this. So, in summary, Accident Group, the reason why so many of us doubt that Chris Pennington ever got anywhere near Jay Slater's body is because all of the other people that were trying to do exactly the same thing were either better qualified or had more experience or were operating at a level far higher than these two, and they all failed. Every one of them failed totally. And yet total success came to the two amateurs. Amateurs can prevail. I'm not saying amateurs can never defeat professionals. Of course they do. They do in different walks of life. But when you have so many experienced professionals that fail 100%, and the two amateur guys pop up and succeed 100%, I think some of us Accident Group are entitled to say we don't quite believe it. Now, what would help our argument, Accident Group, our argument, the foul play group, is if we had any example of the dynamic duo, the ones that claimed success, lying to us. If we could only find an example where even one of them had lied to us, that would, I think, be fairly convincing evidence that we shouldn't believe them. I mean, if they're going to lie to us about one thing, why should we believe their ultimate claim that they found Jay Slater? I think we do have that lie, and I've got to thank Jay Smith for this, because Jay Smith, I just read what he put out there, and if it's okay with you, Jay Smith, I'll repost it. But to me, the clearest lie is when Chris Pennington is talking about when and how Jay's body was found. And all you need to do is listen to two things that are said by Chris in this regard. They're both said by Chris. They're both said by the same person. Chris Pennington is on record as saying, quote, Jay was pulled out on Sunday morning before that team arrived. Jay was pulled out on Sunday morning before that team arrived. I guess that's before the Guardia Civil helicopter team. Yeah. The same person, Chris Pennington, is on record as saying Sunday they put a team together and deployed by helicopter early hours Monday morning. Now, to me, these two don't go together. If the teams that are retrieving Jay's body are deployed by helicopter early hours Monday morning, then it's not possible that Jay's body was pulled out on Sunday morning. They can't both be true. And because both statements from the same person can't be true, it means that person making those two statements, where one of them is untrue, is a liar. This is an example where Chris Pennington is lying to us. Now, if I can just speak directly to Peter Pennington, Peter, this is why all we need you to do is to explain why your brilliant son would lie in such a way. If he's not lying, if he really believes, Peter, if your son really believes that Jay was pulled out on the Sunday and he was also pulled out on the Monday, could you not just explain what mental aberration your son has for him to say such a thing and then refuse to take it back? That's all we're looking for. But again, Accident Group, when you hear those two statements, they come from the same person, and that same person is the one claiming to have found Jay. Do you not think that quite possibly this is not the only instance of a lie that Chris Pennington has said, and that maybe the whole thing is a lie? Why do you think, Accident Group, that we are so stupid that we hear these two contradictory statements and we think it can't be right? Where is our logic adrift here, Accident Group? One more example where I think a reasonable person would doubt the word of Chris Pennington. Referring to the Dutch dog team, Chris Pennington said, instead of taking 50,000 off that family, £50,000 off that, or euros, 52, wasn't it? 52 was the exact number given by Debbie. Chris Pennington says, instead of taking 50k off that family, why not be honourable and leave the family with that GoFundMe money? That is Chris Pennington saying, not saying he believes, not saying he thinks this, he's saying as a fact. He's saying the Dutch search dog team took 50,000 50k, euros or pounds, whatever, from Debbie. Debbie Duncan, looks to me, it's Debbie Duncan's profile on Facebook. She said the same thing. So we've got Chris Pennington backing up what Debbie Duncan said about giving 50k to some searchers. Well, if Chris Pennington is so sure that he's got that right, why, Accident Group, why, Peter Pennington, are you not backing him up, saying, yes, Chris got this right? It's the Dutch that snaffled up 50k. If you have any doubts that Chris is saying the truth there, Peter, Accident Group, could you not just give a little prod to Chris here and say, maybe you should retract that? Maybe you should apologise to the Dutch? Maybe you should explain to all the people out there how you got that wrong. How did you get that wrong? Because you see, Accident Group, in the absence of anyone giving Chris a little push to actually tell the truth, we in the Foul Play Group assume that he's lying all the time, Most of the time, some of the time. But once you've gone out there, I'll just say it as it is. Once you've gone out there and lied about who got the money for the search, you've lied about when Jay was retrieved, you've lied about actually finding him. Once we have, from Chris Pennington, lie after lie after lie after lie, Accident Group, call us crazy, but we're tempted to think the guy's just a liar. We can't believe what he says, anything, because he has that track record. Now, I really am running out of time now. I was going to go into the instances where the other half of the dynamic duo have clearly lied time after time after time and build up a case why no one on this planet should ever believe any one of them, and yet the Accident Group do. But I will have to leave that for another time because, as you can imagine, going through Liar Ivor's list of lies, again, is a whole nother documentary. But this is my most reasonable approach to the Accident Group. From what I've said in this 30-minute video, I open the door to you. Call me on my private, to quote Chris Pennington, call me on my private number, or speak to me in whichever way you can and explain what have I said in this video that makes no sense whatsoever. Explain what I've said is false. Explain what I've said is untrue, inaccurate, wildly conspiratorial, and we'll take it from there. Happy bank holiday weekend for those of you lucky people that have a bank holiday. Happy bank holiday weekend to all of those who follow this channel and are part of my supportive group. Happy bank holiday to you. Hope you have some nice sunny weather, as we do here. Hasta luego. Adios. See you next time.